And we are live, and Josh is there. He is.
I'm here. I'm here.
Welcome to the Kill Be Kill podcast. Damian, of course, George, and Josh. And today we got a special guest, Greg Radcliffe. He's a good
Hello.
friend of Josh. He was Marine Infantry and then Army Airborne Infantry. He's stationed up, according to Greg, Josh was the first friend he met up in when he was stationed in Alaska. Now, Greg, you mentioned so you went from the Marine Corps to Army Infantry. I mean, that's not a usual path, is it?
A lot of Marines, they usually do migrate over to the Army. From my experience, it was, you know, the Marine Corps was your first taste of the military, and obviously
Right.
with all the regulations that went on, like you just want to get out. You get out, and it's like I made a big mistake. So
Oh,
I went to talk to a prior service recruiter to get back in the Marine Corps. I found out later, lied to me saying that I could only go back in as reserves, which I wasn't having. So I walked over to the Army recruiter and was like, "Hey, I hear you got the 18 X-ray program. I'm prior service Marine. I want to go SF." And so went into that pipeline. Uh, was at Fort
so
Bragg for the Q course for 2.5 years, and I
wow.
got dropped right at graduation because I couldn't read Arabic.
Oh, oh. So there's a lot to unpack there because so you're saying a recruiter misled you?
Yeah. So at that time, I'm not sure how it is nowadays, but at that time, at least for the Marine Corps, they have their quota, and there's reserve recruiters and active duty recruiters. The reserve recruiter was also the prior service recruiter. So if you're a prior service guy coming into the Marine Corps, that's who you had to go to. And
Got it.
he had to meet his quota, and so he just
Yeah. I understand. So it's his job to get people in the reserves, not in the
yeah. And
full time active.
honestly, that's the first and only time I've ever been misled by a recruiter.
Okay.
My first time going into the Marine Corps and dealing with those recruiters, they were very upfront. They're like, "Hey, we're going to give you the opportunity to try to be a Marine. Not
Right.
that it's like, "Ah, you're going to go do this and this and this," but it's like we're going to
Right.
give you the opportunity to try."
Right. All right. And then so you go Army Infantry. Now, as far as the training goes, they recycle you in some way. I mean, you have to go through. You got to get their SOPs down and all that other crap, right?
So when I first went into the Army, my break in service between getting out of the Marine Corps and going into the Army um, was so insignificant. It was 7 month total,
Hmm.
less than that from when I signed the contract. But they they're like, "Okay, you have all the infantry experience you need. Like we don't need to teach you anything." So they pushed me over to the airborne school. Um, I was in limbo for a couple months because of a hearing waiver that needed to get forwarded to SWIC. That's the Special Weapons Special Warfare Center School.
Hmm.
They needed to basically say that, okay, we acknowledge that he has permanent hearing loss, and we will take him as is. Um, and how the Army goes, there was some disconnect there. Took them 2 months to finally get the paperwork through, and
So 2 months is a long time, and I'm thinking I immediately go to just getting out of shape. One, I'm also imagining that maybe you're second guessing the
there was no
decision,
second guessing.
right?
I worked for the SF liaison there. He was the guy that went to talk to all the uh, recruits or whatever the Army called them at basic. But
Now, when you say SF lays that's liaison, right?
yes,
Okay, yeah, I just want to
um,
spell it out because not
but
everybody
yeah,
hear me. All your
okay.
military guys speaking, acronyms and use numbers with letters, and us regular people get confused. So, all right,
And so the liaison was a master sergeant who had like, and this guy had been around forever. Like he had like an old school Ranger scroll from the Vietnam War. That's how
wow,
long he'd
wow, yeah,
been at it. Um, but he was the guy that go to all the training cadets and be like, okay, do you want to try out for SF? And then once they graduate, that's who they went to. But for him, I would go work for him for 2 to 3 hours out of the day, and then I had the rest of the day off to go to the gym, do whatever,
Okay.
until that waiver got approved. Sometimes I'd get put attached to a detail, like help out with a range or something. But
All right. So you're still on payroll.
yes,
Okay. All right. And
as
then,
as like I went in as I got out of the Marine Corps as an E4. I went into the Army as an E4. There's some differences between between the
right.
ranks, and but yeah. So finally got the approval. Went to airborne school, and to me that was my first introduction to what the Army was actually like, and it was a culture shock. Um, you know,
Now, how so?
the the discipline within the Army,
Like
Lower.
up,
it
lower?
lower lower.
Okay.
People like just lower ranks getting away with so much was
Like,
just astounding to me
like,
at the time. And it's
like an example, what pops in your head? You're sitting there and all of a sudden you're like, I can't believe that dude just did that.
for one, just the appearance and upkeep of uniform, for a good majority, was lacking. Just
Wash and wear uniforms were amazing. Okay.
and then the way that junior enlisted spoke to senior enlisted, it was a lot more relaxed, a lot more brazen, to be honest.
And now what year was this?
2012.
Okay. So it's, we're 10 years ago. So it's relatively, it's in that modern era of,
Yeah.
and then when did you get your discharge?
I got out in 2016.
Okay. And over that course of your service, again, thank you for your service. I don't think I said that before. Did you see a decline? Do you see any changes, or it was just the one jump from the Marines
for
to
that,
the Army?
The first actual 2.5 years that I spent was at Fort Bragg in the Special Forces qualification course, and I was supposed to be around the best of the best, and for the most part, yes. Some people were able to slip through the cracks. Other people were, absolutely like, I'm glad you're here, like you're where you need to be.
Right. So the SF, that's a selection process, correct?
Yes.
Or is
so the whole pipeline, and, you start out with 18 X-ray, those are the Special Forces recruits. Like that's what they consider them. They have a contract to where they are, their contract states that they are guaranteed the opportunity to try out for Special Forces.
Right.
Whereas someone who's been in the service for a while, they have to put in paperwork, and then they will go to the SFAS, which is the Special Forces Assessment Selection. And then once they are selected at the end of it, or not, they go back to their unit, they get their stuff, and come back, and they're now in the whole pipeline for Special Forces training. My time, I was there for 18 Bravo, which was weapons sergeant. Went through the whole pipeline. There was some moving and shaking going on during the time I was there. They were restructuring the course, changing how the course was done, and I made it all the way through. My time, I was my class that graduated without me was the last class at that time. I don't know if they brought it back, but they were the last class that had language school in the pipeline, during the whole course of that. So, people after me, all the classes after me, no longer did language, and they went straight to the teams. So I got dropped. I got sent to Alaska, and
Yeah, but what he's not telling you is 2 days after he got to Alaska, he comes to me and he goes, "Hey, Kaywood, I just got some orders to go to, was it 10th group?"
Fifth group.
He's like, "I just got orders to go to 5th group." What? Wait, let me tell this story since you're not going to.
All right, so 10th group and 5th group, these are SF groups, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So he goes, "Hey, I just got orders to go to 5th group. What do I do?" And I'm like, "Get on a plane and go to 5th group. What are you doing here?" And he goes, "Well,
Right.
yeah, but I just kind of got here and he's like, so I don't know, like, how do I get there?" And I was like, "Dude, I will front you the money. Just pay me back once you get to freaking SF land,
Right.
man." And he was like,
Right.
"Well, I don't know. He's like, "I'm going to go talk to the Alaska people." I was like, "Don't talk to nobody." I was like, "Just go." I was like, "You have orders, just go." I was like, "Let
Right.
the SF people figure it out on their end, because they're like a tier 1 group. They can do whatever they want. They're just going to tell Alaska to shove it." And he's like, "Well,
Right.
I don't know." And so then he goes and he talks to the orders people and they canceled his SF orders. And I said, "Dude, you just told SF you don't want to go there." And that's what happened.
Yeah, and then that's it. Right. Yeah, that doesn't happen twice, I would imagine. Yeah.
So that's what happened, huh, Greg?
So
That's pretty close. Yeah.
oh, fair enough. But again, I get Greg's point. He's like, "Hey, I did. There's been a mistake, right? I get it. I want to go bad for the guy that he just wanted to make sure that this was legit before he put you out."
Yeah. Unfortunately, I had more experience
worst
in the Army.
case. To me at the time, because when I got to Alaska, like I took
He
I
was
was able to
jaded
take
and angry and frustrated. And
that, and I had
Yeah,
a month off. I had a month
Yeah.
off, so I got to go home, and then from my dad's house in West Virginia, I hopped on a plane and went up to Alaska. And when I got up there at the time, like I was just, well, like Haywood said,
Yeah.
it's like, "I'll front you the money." Like I didn't have much money when I got up there, and then they to me, worst case was I get there and it's like, "Yeah, no, like you're not supposed to be here." And then it's like, "Well, shit."
Yeah. Yeah. So going through, because again, like I, watch these, selection shows, videos, things like that. And all of a sudden I'm watching everything and I'm like, that's insane. No way. I'm like watching dudes do stuff. And there's like, being competitive, you're, in the physical stuff, but there's stuff like this, some of the crap is just nuts, man. Like, what was like the first thing you went in and you're like, "I can't believe I'm doing this. And I can't believe they're making me do it." And I just did it.
There's so that's one of the benefits of going in as 18 X-ray was a course that they had just for those people going in with that contract. Was they got to go to a prep course for selection. They called it Special Operations Preparation Conditioning, and those were it was like basically
this isn't like SAT prep.
It's like an advanced basic training, if you will, for all these guys who've never had any experience in the Army. And it's because one of the big hurdles at SFAS was the STAR course, or the big land navigation course that they have. So there was that course was 3 weeks, and 1 week was dedicated to land navigation. I'm bragging a little bit here, but that was easy for me. But
right. So now, what tools did?
Go ahead.
You couldn't use it. What tools did you have to use for that?
Map and a compass.
Okay. All right.
When you get there, they do a full layout to make sure you don't have your cell phone on you, that you don't have GPS on you, and that was for the entire three weeks that you were there.
Right.
But so you asking about what was the one thing I couldn't believe I was doing this? And
yes.
So I was one of maybe like 2 or 3 prior service guys going through that. I had some rapport with the cadre at the time. May or may not have actually encountered them in Iraq, but we had some guys that like snuck out over the weekend, and like they got busted, and we all had to pay they punished everyone.
Right.
And so we're sitting there, and I mean, they're making us, go through like the evolution of people. They would make us low crawl like 100 meters, and then high crawl 100 meters, and then make us lunge 100 meters. Basically, like, you start out as a worm, you graduate to where you're now a walking person, but we didn't do any walking. But during all this, the one cadre that I had a lot of rapport with, he pulled me to the side and he's like, "Brackliff, come here." And he's like, "Go count pine cones behind the tent." So he was getting me out of that because I was putting in all the effort. I was putting in the effort that was deserved of me being there. Sure. There was another incident when we do ruck marches, time force movement, where we had a 45-pound ruck, a rubber. They call them a rubber ducky. It's like an AR-15, just rubberized, doesn't actually shoot anything. Mm-hmm. And we're doing the final one. It's a 12-mile movement, and you're basically running the entire time. At the halfway point, they made you weigh a ruck. And so I get there, and I take off my ruck. They made us take out our 2-quart canteens, so that way that didn't go towards the weight, because our weight had to be considered dry.
Yeah, water weight doesn't count.
So I took my canteens out, picked up my rifle, picked up my ruck, went over to the weigh-in station. They're like, "Hey, Marine, why do you have your weapon?" And I it was like, "Is this a rhetorical question?" And he's like, "No, like, why do you have your weapon?" Like, "I'm supposed to." And he's like, "It's the right answer. You're the only one who's brought your weapon over here." They had everyone over to the side. They had all these guys over to the side with their rifle above their head, and doing lunge walks, and
what did they do with they just ditched the weapon? Like
they left it where they left their canteens. And that was outside of arm's reach.
I got it.
Yeah, it just meant they.
So they technically didn't follow directions. You said drop the canteens.
It's a lack of following directions, but it's also a lack of preparation, right? Of like thinking ahead, right? You always have to have your weapon, and they even teach that in basic training. So I'm finding that story really funny, because like I wouldn't have done that, right? But people just don't listen. They're in the moment. They're tired. They're sweaty. They just like drop it. And, So but it's. I mean, yeah.
So how many? So out of how many entered that?
At SOP C, I had to see. There's
that prep course.
Probably close to.
I think we had 98 when I did it.
How many? 30. You said?
There's probably somewhere between 80 to 100. When I went to Special Forces Assessment Selection, there was like 230 something, and only about half got selected.
Okay. And then Josh, you said about out of your 98, how many dropped?
Oh, so we had like 98 at SOP C, and then by the time selection was done, I think there was like 20.
Yeah. And then that's like the training begins.
Right. That's just the gate. That's just the gate to get through.
Get in the door.
Yeah.
That's the gate to, it's like, let me prove myself to you, so that way I can prove myself to you.
I think if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, it's the whole process like to when you're actually operating. That's like about almost 2 years, right? It's like 18 months or something like that.
Roughly, if you go in with 18 extra contract, back then you're obligated to a 6-year contract because of your time, in training. They need to get their money's worth out of you with at least 3 years on the team.
Right. Yeah. So that's a long time, man. And it's all like the whole, each step is. I know we talk about qualification, selection process, but each step is you get knocked out.
Yeah, I'm like, you always have to prove yourself. There's always, something to. It's like if you don't pass this gate, there's the door. Thanks for trying.
Well, yeah, but I mean, some of the crap that you see, like the I mean, on the SEAL, on the SEAL side, you've got, the drowning training, like all that crap in the pool when the guys are tied up. I mean, anything for like heights, I'm watching
Oh,
this crap. I'm like, there's no way.
yeah, like
There's no freaking way.
swim school was something I mean, in the Marine Corps, we have our swim qual training, just for being in the Marines, like all Marines have to have a
Right.
swim qual, but for, the Army dive school and, Navy SEAL buds, no, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm good.
dude. No, I just want, and then there was and I'm just referring to a fucking TV show, but there was a show called The Selection, and it was on for like one season, and they combined a whole bunch of crap, from all the courses. The one that was the most disturbing is they just put these dudes in a box and played crying babies, like they were like in.
Yeah, that's from Sear. Yeah.
Curled up, yeah.
And
you're like,
survive, evade, resist, escape.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. I just, I'm looking at this card, I'm like, oh no, the guy who won was like 40. And it's just like, at least if you go through the selection process, you get a commission and you're on to the next step. That dude, I think he got a t-shirt and they sent them home. He won like a couple bucks.
It's kind of like the survival course I went to. I didn't even get a t-shirt.
Oh shit. So, all right, man. Well, awesome to have you, Greg. Thank you very much for joining us. And next, we're just going to go to the section, our hate mail section. We got a few because then there's that one issue, that one event we really want to talk about. So let me just pull up my first guy here. Okay, see, you will love these.
He will.
Some of these are freaking. So yeah, there we go. Go share. Okay. So this is on our one of our body armor ads, and Mike Donahue just chooses to write Epstein files repeatedly, over and over again.
Because that has everything to do with your body armor ad.
I can't. I don't know what's real or what's not. If this is a bot or whatever, but I just think it's insane. It's funny that I was thinking about how many other posts this appeared on before it got to ours. Yeah, that's just a quick one. That was just nuts.
It's a good opener.
Yeah. All right. So this is from our fast course ad, and the advertisement is why you shouldn't grapple in the street. Now we don't say don't ground fight. We just say don't grapple because mainly it's very inefficient. And this is myself. Wrestled in college. I've got ranks in black belt judo, jiu-jitsu, and I love grappling. But when it comes down to actually doing it, the least amount of physical contact with the most amount of effect is what we're looking for. So when you're grappling with somebody, things that come into play are size, strength, technique, fitness level. All these other things where if I could, juice you with pepper spray, or if I'm not even using a weapon, if comparing a strike to is it harder to strike somebody and knock them out or to strangle somebody? Right? It's harder to strangle somebody.
On the street, you got, whether or not they have buddies coming.
Yeah, exactly. But it's in this, right, Greg. And in this video, I do a demonstration of what you're up against. I got like neck knives, blackjacks. I got all kinds of crap on me, right? So this guy, Obi-Wan, which is obviously his real name, he's like, you lost me at grappling is inefficient. So instead of like flaming this guy, I do respond, it's because, the more physical contact you have. Yes, go, Josh.
I was going to say, I like how you didn't give him a belt comment on that one.
I know.
I didn't because I don't, I'm like, it was there's more.
It seems more like a realistic comment, you know, not just some
Yes.
dude being a. Okay.
Yeah. So here's a guy who's obviously a grappler. Again, Obi-Wan, obviously not his real name. So I did answer him seriously because sometimes people are reading this and it's not like a completely moronic statement, you know. So, you know, I said, I responded like I do. And then he's like, cool story, needs more dragons. So I guess he's alluding to the fact that it's a fantasy, what I'm saying. Okay. I did add the one line, maybe one day you'll catch up. I did. So, you know, I wasn't letting that go. And then my response is, oh, I get it. Thank you, Mr. Kenobi. You know, I'm arguing with a guy who is, you know, has a Jedi name on his profile. So,
hey, Jedi is an official religion in the military. So
yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, we're so fucking doomed. It's not even funny.
But you know, I do like your comment because on this one, because if any people are reading it, you actually gave them good information, right?
Yes, and that's why I did that, because again, I mean, we beat this to death, but it's like here you have somebody who is already, you know, he's bought in, he's thinking.
This comes from the MMA world, right? You know, where grappling is king. And so they're like, well, what do you mean it's not efficient for a fight? But, you know, unless you grappled, you know how inefficient it actually is, right?
When you talk about
when you talk about the endurance and muscular like exhaustion that comes from grappling, like why would you want to do that against all the other reasons why not to, right? It is actually inefficient.
Dude, one of my buddies I reconnected with, you know, we were just talking about, I first met him, we were on like the New Jersey national team for freestyle and Greco. And anyway, we reconnected. We're talking about like wrestling being the PTSD sport. Like it is like after you go through it, it's like so brutal and so hard. I'm like, the only reason why I really did judo when I got older was just to kind of like exercise those demons that were still in me, because I left wrestling on such an awful, like, anytime you leave a sport, it's a bad breakup, unless you're Peyton Manning and you win the fucking Super Bowl, you know, but you always leave, you're not good enough or you get injured. That's it. Right. So these are the things. So it's very rare to leave on top, but it's so hard. And somebody like saying that, it's like, okay, like, what would you teach your 120-pound daughter, right?
I know what you teach them. We could show the video, but we don't have to.
No, we don't. We don't. But yeah. So anyway, on the same note, this guy. So this is on our ad. This is this on another ad. He's like, "What a joke, brother! You're showing karate chops, pencils to the neck. Have you ever been in combat? Terrible." Okay, so he's obviously been stalking me because he's been on the YouTube channel and we did the little video. Can you kill with a pencil? Crap like that, you know, screwing around with stuff. And so here we go. This is a white belt level comment. There's a reason the edge of hand is literally in every system of close combat ever created, from pancrase to karate and kung fu. It's because it works. By the way, I see you mentioned a few of the videos. Thanks for being a fan. So again, you've got someone who, you know, doesn't really understand. I mean, the whole funny thing is, like, have I ever been in combat? Well, I've never served in the military, so that's going to be a no. And
I got something for that.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Send it.
So one of the things while I was at SOPC was, you know, some old timer 7th group, which is another different Green Beret group. They're based in Florida, but old time. He was a Green Beret in Vietnam, and he took us on a tour of the SF Museum at Fort Bragg, and he's imparting his wisdom on us. And a lot of guys like, so we're getting ready to go into the land navigation portion, and he's like, so who has a pencil? And everyone's like, oh, they pull out mechanical pencils. And he's like, those aren't real pencils. You need to get a real pencil because you can do all kinds of things with a pencil. Like if you need to start a fire, you can whittle it down. You got kindling. If you need to kill someone, you can break it in half and just jab in the neck with it. Like that is verbatim. Like, and that's coming from a guy in Vietnam who's killed more people than any of us probably ever could aspire to.
Right. And the fact is, to your point, if you're in combat and you're using hand to hand, I mean, so much has gone wrong. I mean, this is not a good. It's not a good day.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's a century removal, that's like a worst case scenario. And it goes back to that one Ranger back in like 2017 or 16 who like finally got the MRE spoon kill.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, so are you asking me if I've been in a fight? I would say yes, I have. I've been under stress. I've been in various situations where, I mean, it's all in my bio, so I don't like, it's whatever. At the end of the day, I'm like, you have to evaluate things based on your own experience and reflect against reality. I mean, that's really it. I'm like, if you don't like it, that's fine. I mean, I can tell you why I do something. I can tell you why I don't do something. Have I done things that I would prefer not to do? Like, have I used wrestling in an actual, stupid fight? Yeah, a lot. It also, got me a little jammed up, but still, it wasn't, yeah, of course. Now, knowing what I know now, I would have avoided at all costs. So, I think it's interesting. I mean, we talk about this a lot. There's clearly value in grappling and sparring and fighting. It's great for conditioning, spirit. Getting that edge, get stress inoculation. But that's kind of it. I mean, you guys went through, a multitude of courses. I'm sure some of them included some type of fighting or boxing component to it.
Not really. The Army doesn't really do that much anymore.
Yeah, they've right before I went to Paris Island for Marine Corps boot camp, they did away with body hardening. They still do McMAP, Marine Corps martial arts program, which the lower levels are a joke.
It's a flavor of people. That's what people like when they look at hand-to-hand combat training in the military. It's usually kind of like, from my experience, based on what people like yourself have told me over the decades, it's kind of like a flavor of the month and may change with every command.
For the most part, it's
degree.
they have all these kids coming in from all walks of life, and they need to make sure that they have some means of self-defense, and that's why these martial arts programs are born throughout the military. I don't even know what the Army's was called, if they even have one. Sure they do.
Yeah, it was called the Army Combatives, Modern Army Combatives Program, MACP. That's it. Yeah,
and that became, I know they do BJJ as part of some of it. I know
is essentially BJJ. That's all it is, with a very small boxing portion. I mean, I'm talking like basically the boxing portion was don't get hit. That's what it was. It wasn't how to strike back.
I think the New Jersey State Police, they did it. They stopped doing it. Now they do it. I believe they do it again. There's a boxing component to it, and it's not how to box. It's really, you're going to get hit, and you're going to see how much this sucks, and you're going to realize how much your adrenaline, sucks out your energy, and you're not going to be able to fight as long and as hard as you think you're going to fight. So it's just kind of getting you into this, into this world that a lot of people haven't played combat sports, haven't played, I haven't wrestled, they haven't played football, they don't box. they don't do any of that stuff. And now you're going into a world where you're going to have to use force, and a lot of it is non-lethal. And, it's a big world out there, and you never know what you're up against, and you can get overwhelmed fast. So at least, when you're getting the crap beat out of you, you can recognize it and do something that maybe save your life, like maybe draw your weapon and do what you need to do. But yeah, let's do, see, where's that one? Let's do one more. Oh, we did that one. This is me listening. Okay. So you guys will love this one. And that's, PBD podcast that I'm listening to is, this is from the Concealed Armor ad. And this guy, Alan Campbell, center scope on forehead, centers next on inner thigh. And my response was like, Alan Campbell watches too many movies. So
this goes back to the thing we talk about all the time. Why do people want to comment on your body armor ads and say, well, what if I get shot in the head, or I'll just shoot you in the head? And it's like, first of all, shooting people in the head is not as easy as it seems. And second, everybody's trained to shoot shutter mass anyways. So you might as well wear body armor.
I don't know. Right. Steven Seagal's pretty good at it.
Yeah. Oh, I love
with Steven Seagal.
I shoot you. I shoot him right there. Bang. I shoot him right there. Bang. I shoot him right there. Yeah. I love this crap, because anyone who's ever shot over a distance at any target, let alone a moving target, a running target, what are you talking about? Right.
Here's the second interesting thing is he first shoots for the forehead and then he shoots for the inner thigh.
So I'll be lying on the ground, and then you put another round at me because my brains are all over the place. What? Oh, but my God, dude.
If your brains aren't all over the place, he's definitely going for the inner thigh, not the outer thigh,
not
the
middle
outer thigh.
No.
The inner one.
That's where
that's the dead check. How to make sure you're dead.
Yes. Right. And I love that these guys, people are insane. I don't know why anyone would post anything on social media. Anything. It's, so many times people are just, it's like just this guy, it's like, oh, I'll just shoot you in the head or the leg. And that's it. Oh, okay. So, and it's not even like you have to hurt somebody, but what if you're, I don't know, what if you're going through a divorce there, Mr. Campbell, and, your wife is, or soon to be ex-wife is saying, well, he's very violent. I'm scared for my life. Well, look at all these posts. Look at all these comments. Listen to the Killer Be Killed podcast. And you're gonna all of a sudden, Mike, all your guns are gonna be gone for good. Good luck getting them back. And all that crap.
Yeah.
You're applying. Do you plan?
It's like the same people. It's like the same people that comment on the self-defense ones and are like, "That's okay, I've got my 45."
That's my. It's my favorite. Okay, Tex, you're just going to shoot everybody you have an argument with automatically.
All right, Greg, you got something? Send it.
Do you remember when we were? Do you remember when we were in Japan?
I remember a lot about Japan. What about it?
So there towards the end of it, I got a phone call, middle of the night. I was on weapons watch, and as soon as I turned on my phone, I got blown up with hundreds of messages because my dad was just in a shooting at the pharmacy.
Yeah, I remember that. Mm-hmm.
Wait, what happened?
Yeah, back in 2015.
2015. Yep.
You can look it up on YouTube, real easy. Just a Pincher Pharmacist shooting. My father.
Damian's gonna look it up.
My father. He was. Just if you're looking up, it's PINCH. Pinch your arm. But he was. He's been a pharmacist since before I was born. Retired a couple years ago, but he's always had a concealed carry on him. One day, this is middle of winter. Guy comes in wearing a face mask, which okay, little suspicious, but it is winter, it is snowing. Okay. And he just started crowding the other customer that was already at the counter, and you in the video you see him like, we'll get to you in a minute. Yeah. Um, so
So your dad's obviously the white coat. He's the pharmacist.
I think there's another white coat in there. It's been a while since I watched it, but yeah, my dad was the pharmacist in charge.
So you say, so the guy who's obviously in the black jacket.
Yeah, I just looked at, or that might be, this is him coming in right now. I think
coming in. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he, checks the place out, and then he moves up. I believe my dad's gonna be on the right there. He's on the right coming in.
Okay.
It's like, are you here to pick up, or are you pulls?
Oh.
Oh shit. Wow.
So when the guy drew his firearm, a lot of people critiqued, it's like, oh, he was hiding behind, the other employees. Well, they were already in the center, and nothing you could really do about that. But that did conceal his draw.
It concealed his draw. Yeah, sure.
So then, he first thing he did, fired, double tap, because that's what he's always trained. He shoots.
You could tell.
Back then, he shot once a week. Fired a double tap. So first round, center mass. Second round actually hit the slide of the perp's gun, which caused it to jam. Because you see him try to shoot, and that's when my dad faints back, and then follow up shot because he's still a threat.
Right.
Holding on to make sure he doesn't do anything. Walks over, moves the firearm away, and immediately started going into aid.
Man.
But people are like, oh, if that was a 45, that wouldn't have happened. It was a 45.
Shut up. Right.
It was a 45. He's like, well, he must have been shooting Full Metal Jacket. If he had hollow points, they were hollow points. The hollow point got the fabric of that guy's denim jacket filled the hollow point and made it, essentially a full Metal Jacket, and went through all the way through him.
You mean to tell me, Greg, commenting, don't know what the fuck they're talking about? This is just a shocking revelation. That's amazing. And you want to talk about God intervening? I mean, the fact that
okay. So you said God intervening. If you find the interviews from that, my dad would, at the time, he would every morning before work, he had a morning testimonial thing he'd go through. And that morning was whatever verse, but a thief comes in the night to destroy, I come so you can protect, or something like that. But the Bible verse, I don't know. I'm not that religious anymore, but a thief comes in the night, and 3 hours later.
Wow. Oh my God. That's, again, fantastic. God bless him that he's fine. Nobody else was harmed. Yeah. And that's why, this is again, amazing story. And and that brings us to our next topic, which is the stabbing that recently happened. Because here you have a situation where someone was able to effectively defend themselves and protect the other people around them, and this other situation, the girl was not. Of course, I'm talking about the recent stabbing in Charlotte. Just get my screen shut up. We'll start with the good old Post. So, Ukrainian immigrant Irena Zarutska was stabbed to death by a man who was out on cashless bail. This individual was arrested 14 times. I'm not going to say his name because we never do. He was, have some the details on his life. So yeah, he was charged with killing her. He was out on cashless bail, and despite nearly a 2-decade history of violence and mental illness, Irena Zarutska, 23, she left Ukraine because of the war. She was an artist working in a pizza shop. The subject, the murderer, was arrested at least 14 times in North Carolina for crimes ranging from assault and firearms possession to felony robbery and larceny dating back to 2007. His old mother told local TV station WSOC that her son was schizophrenic and should have never been allowed to roam the streets. And the subject allegedly told his sister he stabbed her because she was reading my mind. This also reminds me of a case of the 57-year-old woman in New York City who was set on fire. Her name was Debrina Kwan. That was back in December. So let's see if I can get this video playing. I may have to refresh the page. So we have two versions of this video. This is the first one where most people have seen this.
Yep.
And let me just let this play out because the no.
All your weird advertisements for being, an older male.
Right. Right. Exactly. It's the algorithm. Ever read the McIntyre? It's brutal. It's brutal.
She's there for your AARP.
Yeah. Oh. Please play. Oh no, 2 ads. Great. So, here's the image. Again, we've got extensive video on this, but this one is showing her getting into the car and choosing her seat. And here we go. All right. So there's the subject. So just notice the cars and the seats and how they're arranged.
It was the North Carolina light rail, commuter train.
Yeah. And so look, you can't tell if he's having an episode or the guy's just tired, right? So
Yeah.
Okay, here she is coming in. Again, earbuds on, she's tiny. Just takes the first seat right in front of him. And this is what most people do. They go about their day, they get on their phones, and they just take a seat wherever. All right, now they cut back. Now she gets on. Again, different angle, obviously. Okay, so watching him, he's not really even making eye contact with her. He's not staring at her. Maybe just casually glancing over her, but he's like, that takes out his folder. And then it starts. So we saw the setup for this. Now I'll show the they're just showing him take out his pocket knife, but I'll just get the full video here. Your screen window here. All right. Now I will say, can you guys see that?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. You can?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah. My browser, it's the same crap as before. Give me 1 second because I'm gonna just put this up on the drive and that'll fix it. Yeah. So thoughts so far?
I mean, going into anywhere public, especially, something like a train or a bus or something like that, and being completely oblivious to your surroundings, earbuds, head buried in your phone, always the worst case.
Right. And again, I want to say, as we do these things, we're not, it's not going to be some victim blaming bullshit, right?
No.
We're looking at these things from an objective point of view, trying to help.
Yeah. How would we help somebody else not
Somebody
end up
else
that way?
But the other thing too is just watching. I mean, you could see like very subtle agitation, but it's not like it was really something that stood out as, fuck, I don't want to be anywhere near this guy,
No, especially
he
when she
wasn't-
walked on, he had kind of calmed down, right? He
Yeah.
was just kind of sitting there.
Yeah. So again, he's not getting, this is without warning. There's
Yeah.
no, there's nothing, that would tell me, other than if I was there and I got like a vibe off this dude. But just in general, and my kids think they always think I'm crazy, but when I sit in some place, I'm sitting, back to the wall if possible. I'm, if I'm coming into a subway train, I'm getting behind everybody. I'm sitting in the last car possible. If there's somebody that's even, what I would think twice about this guy, maybe not. But if there's other seats available, I'm going to, you're going to want to take them so you can survey the room, know where the alternate exit is, and just paying attention. But
and even prior to her walking on, when we saw that video, you got somebody sitting directly across from him and somebody kind of in front of that, and he's not making any kind of weird, eye contact or looking at them or anything. So
yeah, there's nothing. This guy looks like he's just tired. So this is the video. So I'm gonna say warning. Children, if you want to see violence, do not look at this. It is 100,000. It is disturbing and disgusting. So, if now's the time to turn it off, go someplace else. All right. So this was posted on David Harris's Instagram. Whew.
and just walked away like it was fucking nothing.
Yeah. I mean, you're seeing.
I mean, anybody could have provided aid and probably prevented the death.
I knew we were going to be talking about this, and so I looked up a few videos, and there was one angle I saw where, the lady across just stood up and looked around, just didn't even look over towards her, and another guy, he might have been trying to see where that guy was going. I don't know, but after I saw that angle, there's another video of a news report where they're saying that bystanders rushed to her aid. No, they didn't. No one tried to help her. And what's sad is at that point there probably wasn't be anything that anyone could have done to help her.
Yeah, I mean, depending. I mean, it looks like. I mean, what you couldn't see where the stabs were, and
I mean, that whole attack was what, 3 seconds?
Seconds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seconds. And that's what it looks like. And you realize that she didn't realize that she was even cut. She's trying to figure out what happened. She probably thought she got hit or something, and then you just watch her blood pressure drop as she dies. So, yeah, I mean, this history. She's the same age as my daughter, and I'm like watching this thing, trying to just keep it together. But it's the most you can do is position yourself and pay attention. That's the most you can do. From anything else, you don't see it coming. You're not going to know it's coming. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
Somebody sitting behind you without warning opens up, just takes a knife and starts stabbing you. You're probably going to die.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to people all the time are like, well, what happens if somebody tackles me from behind or clubs me over the head or whatever? And the answer is you are SOL, sorry that happened.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no secret squirrel bullshit. It's going to stop. The only
when she walked on, had she acknowledged him and she looked at him, would it have been different? Would he have gotten up and just attacked her like right then? Like, was this, it was going to fucking happen no matter what? Like,
right. So
it's hard to say with obviously his mental illness, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, yes. And you have empathy, but she's dead. We're in a system that is failing you, and then for Rob Olson just commented, from my experience, I would have not sat in front of him or anywhere next to him. Everyone just sat there doing nada. Yeah. So like we were saying before, I try to take a seat where my back, where my back is at least protected, and then I'm close to it, close to an exit. If I can't, if I can't, I'm, standing. Am I sitting? I mean, let's say that place was complete. Let's say that subway car is completely full, except one seat in front of that guy. Right now, what?
Look at how this lady. She just she fled a war zone. She was a Ukrainian refugee. Came from a war zone and is now in a U.S. like the U.S. where we don't have a war going on. So, what kind of danger was she expected to face?
Right.
And then, and it's impossible for someone to be switched on. Always looking for threats like that. That's a disability. Like that's hypervigilism. That's
right.
not.
That's PTSD, really, right? Like you are constantly in survival mode. I mean, that is, and I know people will comment whatever bullshit comment they're gonna have. Well, she could have. I'm like, unless you're in a position where you can manage your personal space, 99.9% of the people out there, if that's are going to probably take a seat, and it's the first seat that's available when you get into the subway car. Right? It's like, okay, there's a seat, open seat. I'm sitting down. Okay, let's go. Let me get back to my shit. It didn't matter if she was looking at her phone. She could have been staring straight ahead. There's nothing she could have done, to prevent that. And other than, again, trying to manage your personal space as best you can. In this particular case, she, she could have taken another seat, but other than that, nothing. And,
Devil's advocate here, for her getting on that train, like where are the entrance? She's right next to an exit. So
yeah,
I don't remember the full layout of that train, but where's the other exits? That that could be the safest place to be. She doesn't want to get cornered in the back of the train where there's no exit. So if something happens, she has an easy exfil right there.
Right. Is there
Always,
way?
There's so again, kind of like the comment I had before, and it's like, you can look at it from this perspective, she was essentially assassinated, right? And people all the time, I get people all the time who are like, well, what happens if somebody's targeting me, and I'm basically assassinated? And it's like, you're probably going to die, right? It goes back to that, if somebody comes up and just catches you off guard, there's nothing you can do about it, right? Saying like, you try to pick the safest spot and you try to be aware, but, hypervigilance isn't good, and, like Damian saying, you choose the back, but then, what happens if there's a massive crash and now you're in the worst possible spot, right?
Right.
I mean, there's all these scenarios, right? The only thing you can do is try your best while not living in fear, right? And if somebody chooses to assassinate you, like, there is just nothing you can do. Very little, I should say. There's very little you can do. You're probably just going to die, and maybe that's just your day,
Yeah, I always like people that are, I love the assassination question, because my next thing is like, what do you do for a living again? As I'm engaging with them, because you're living a lifestyle. If someone wants to randomly kill you, to your point, yeah, you're dead. I'm like, that's, it doesn't, again, it's so rare, right? I mean, it just doesn't fall under the normal terms of like predator prey behavior, right? This is not a normal human being, clearly. And this is not a circumstance, that, he was, he wasn't, because normally, people would be violent before that, right? You would see they'd be agitated. They would,
there's some buildup or something, right?
Yeah. And there was nothing. It was just casual, just like, kill her. Why her, right? At that moment, it could have been anybody that sat in that seat.
It's hard to say.
Who knows?
And it's hard to say too, so Robert Olson posted just now, he said later he was saying he got the white girl, and that brings up a point, because he's surrounded by all these other people. Yeah, he didn't attack any of them, right? So,
no.
Was it just convenience because of positioning? Was it because she's white? Was it, his schizophrenia combined with all the factors, like, who knows, right?
Yeah. So, hey, again, tragic. Oh, look, Ernie said he listens to us usually the next day at work, but glad we switched to Tuesdays. All right. So
I do see we have higher count than normal. Tuesday at 7 might have been the right answer.
I think it may have been, again, just to, I want to wrap this up, this girl's family, I can't even imagine what they're going through. They asked the people, they asked the, police chief after, what can they do to protect them? They can't protect you from this. That's the takeaway. It's impossible.
You can't protect you from this to a high degree, right? There's only so many things you can do.
How many, when your taxes quadruple because they put an armed security officer on every car everywhere.
There's actually a report out about that. They're supposed to have all of these security personnel. I don't remember the exact post about it, but there's like 32 spots that aren't filled for the city security or something like that.
Yeah, and there clearly wasn't.
But then at the same time, like, could they have responded fast enough to prevent that? Like, probably not. Again, we said that was like 3 seconds.
Yeah. If an officer was sitting right next to her, I mean, that the perp wouldn't be here anymore either, but she'd still be gone.
She'd be dead.
Yep.
Right. I mean, anybody who's been in anything, as we were talking about the oh shit moment, even if you're in front of somebody and it is your job, you're like, hey, that dude does something, shoot them. There's even the moment when your mind is processing it that you're like, he's going for it.
That said, an officer presence on the train may have prevented that altogether.
1,000%.
But then we're looking at, that's what,
agree.
You go over to Europe, and I mean, there's officers on every corner in full gear, assault rifles, everything.
Yeah.
Do we want that kind of a police state?
Right. I mean,
you think there's police brutality here? You go over there, and they make our guys look like a joke.
Yeah, and it's still not. The UK is like a mess, right? It's still not working, right? So, every time they have, you want protection, you want cops there, yet because the cops remind you of when they see let me clear this thought up. You want the cops there, but when you see the cops, you can't stand them, right? Because they remind you of why they're actually there, is because this is, civilization is basically a gentleman's agreement, right? And where at any moment, this can actually happen, and that's why they're there, and they're reminding you of that. And nobody wants to, normal people. I mean, I would say the vast majority of people don't want to know how the sausage is made. They just want to go about their lives, and that only happens to those people in that area until it happens to your people in your area. So
yeah.
On that note, I want to thank Greg for joining us tonight. It's great to have you come back as often as you want, as you fade into the darkness of your beautiful landscape.
It's the quietest place I could find.
I love it. So fair enough. Josh and George, as always, thank you. And everybody, until next time, stay safe and